What do libertarians think about immigration? In the previous video, I pointed out that libertarian arguments tend to fall into one of two camps. Usually they are either deontological or consequentialist in nature. The deontological libertarian pro-immigration case is pretty straightforward. Libertarians believe that a respect for the individual is the central requirement of justice, and immigration laws mandates discrimination of individuals based on their nationality. Libertarians believe that voluntary transactions among peaceful individuals should not be prohibited by the state. Yet immigration laws prohibit transactions if a foreigner wants to accept a job offer from a willing employer or rent an apartment for a willing landlord. Libertarians cherish market economies, which arise from individuals trading and exchanging their property or services as consenting adults. The chief goal of immigration restrictions is to deny access to people from certain markets. As you can see, libertarians have a strong moral presumption in favor of freedom and therefore immigration. But there is also a strong economic case as well. We live in a world in which everything can be globalized except for poor labor. If they can't go where labor is scarce in order to get a good deal, then they're forced to wait for capital to come find them and give them a bad deal. Immigration restrictions impose suffering and pain. And while those restrictions hurt the most vulnerable, they also trap a ton of labor outside of capitalist, market-oriented countries, which means that we are all poorer as a result. Economists have calculated that anywhere from 50 to 150% of world GDP is lost every year as a result of immigration restrictions. They've also determined that most of the global pay gap stems from where you are, not who you are. And there are a number of historical examples that we can look to. America has had free and liberal immigration for most of its history. You can also look at the growth experienced in India and China as many people migrated from farmland into big industrial cities. The economic case doesn't pretend that there are no costs to opening up the border, but it does point out that we do stand to benefit by increasing world product by either 20 to 60 trillion dollars, which can overwhelmingly make up for those costs. Now, there are a number of objections to the pro-immigration case. I've listed them on the screen here, and I'm going to keep this video short and not go over all of them. But what I will do is point you to two books that I do highly recommend that do cover these objections and even more. The first is the extremely accessible book by the economist Brian Kaplan named Open Borders, The Science and Ethics of Immigration, which is written in a graphic kind of comic book style. And the second is In Defense of Openness by Jason Brennan and Bas van der Wassen. This is a more academic book, but it's extremely in-depth and extremely readable. That's defending not just open immigration, but even free trade. And it argues that the quest for global justice really needs to take into account the fact that rich societies need to let in more poor people, both via trade and via travel. Now, the details of America's current immigration system are difficult and kind of hard to nail down. But in general, libertarians are pro-immigration. There's a strong moral and economic case in favor of it, and I at least tend to find the arguments against immigration lacking. Thanks for watching. Like and subscribe for more videos like this.